secret files of Teletraan 2.
I know, but I was waiting dramatically. Also, I forgot it was my podcast.
I thought so.
Hello, Kiddlywinks. Welcome to the Files of Teletraan 2, which continues its rampant reading other books. Today, we are doing Annihilation Volume 2, which is... I'm finding this mildly fascinating, because it seems to me that in order to read Annihilation, you have to read about twice as many books.
Now, I've had mere seconds to think about the reason why this was, and I think the reason is because it's a big tie-in event, obviously. Yes. I think the other reason was because this is not a bad way to introduce you to all of the significant cosmic characters. Like, if you didn't know who Ronan was, hey, we've got a 4-part miniseries. You don't know who Silver Surfer is, we've got 4 issues for him
You've been under a rock.
To go through. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But they're there, and it kind of makes sense, but unfortunately it does follow the format of, oh, hey, it's a big event, so here's a load of tie-ins. I don't think they had their own series going on at the same time as this. I don't think, but, I can't be sure because I obviously came to this after the fact.
Yes, but I will say Andy's here too, by the way.
Hello.
So we are covering Annihilation Volume... Let's do this properly. We're doing Annihilation Volume 2, which covers the tie-ins for Silver Surfer, Super Skrull, and Ronan. So issues 1 to 4 of each of those. We won't go over the individual creators and everything else, because it's a lot of people, and I don't want to go through the comicsology. I've got
lazy.
I'm lazy. But yeah, so last time, everything went to shit, basically.
Yes, pretty much.
Annihilus killed a Superman, like Space Superman.
Mm-hmm. Good old Quasar.
Yeah.
He stole the quantum bands from Quasar as well, which is a big deal.
Yeah. Nova realized that shit and now has like a supercomputer living in his brain who really doesn't want him to do any of the things he's doing. Mm-hmm. And various other shit went down. Also, Drax is there and is very much not what I was expecting. And a bunch of people landed on Earth and realized, shit, we need to get off this place fast.
To be fair, this is not the book where you would expect Drax to stand still and be like, I'm invisible.
Ooh.
This would not be the Drax that would work with this kind of story now, would it?
What, are you telling me that this isn't the story where he's going to start telling people uncomfortable, history of, his parents having sex?
Okay, can you imagine how I felt when I read this Drax, who's very kind of edgy and serious and, maybe a bit cool, and then we go over to what James Gunn had done for Drax?
I mean, at the time, I wouldn't have gotten it, and I didn't get it.
Yes.
Because I'd seen pictures of Drax, and I just kind of assumed he looks like a big dumb guy. Mm-hmm. And he's not.
Don't get me wrong, he does lighten up in the Guardians of the Galaxy series that precedes this in Annihilation Conquest, but he's never like a happy-go-lucky, what a goofball kind of guy.
Yeah. But yeah, so the basic stories of these are basically these 3 characters, and Ronan's is probably the most disconnected.
Yes, I would agree. And did you notice who wrote that one?
No, who?
I'm pretty sure. Don't hold me to this. It might be Simon Furman.
It wasn't.
It might have been.
Hang on.
I would like I said, the page, but I can't get.
I only had the trades, and I didn't pay attention to who the individual writers were.
I'm sure I recognize the writer.
Let me see. Simon Furman.
I was right. Hey, look at that. I can remember useless things.
This does explain why Ronan talks like he's from the 1980s.
At least in this, I think from what I remember when I originally read it, I was like, I don't really like this Ronan stuff. Also, it has really, really bad art in it. But
yes,
again, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
but I remember not liking the story for Desperately Well, and maybe you could pin that on Furman potentially if you wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely the weakest part of this book.
Yes.
And I think it's also the one that feels like this feels like it's a story about Ronan that someone wanted to write and then sort of went, please tie it into this book we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
because it's mostly more about Ronan not really doing it. Like, it feels like it's very much part of a much larger story that is being told about Ronan.
Yeah.
That, like, it's like one of those books that's like, oh, I was running, okay? Ah, shit, what? Well, a tie-in book came out, a big event book came out at the same time. We've got to do a tie-in.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the case, or whether it was, like, just how it was written that was made it feel weird. I don't know.
I don't know. But so the first book is basically Silver Surfer finding out about the Annihilation Wave, and we realize that Annihilus wants the power cosmic, and he is trying to capture former Heralds of Galactus to drain them for some reason we're not really sure about, but we find out that it ain't that simple. If they die, it basically goes back to Galactus, and there ain't any left. So you need to So Annihilus ends up teaming up with Thanos, who has a plan.
Because he always has a plan.
Because he always has a plan. Meanwhile, Galactus has another plan, which is sack his current Herald, bring back the Surfer, and power him up to full blast.
Mm-hmm.
And then the two of them will go deal with it, while two dark gods are freed from Galactus's old days, who kind of sort of want to kick his ass.
Yeah, they're I can't remember their what are they classed as? They're still cosmic entities, aren't they?
Yeah,
like
but
that.
they're counter to the balance.
That's right.
They're counter to the cosmosence, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Aegis and Tenebrous, I think their name is. I know her name is Aegis, but
I wouldn't try and pronounce the name, so I'm glad you did. So if you're wrong, that's your fault.
Yeah, and like they basically look like they're going to team up with Thanos, and Thanos looks like he's basically Thanosing his way through life, and all of this is in service of the fact that he's really after a hot date.
Mm-hmm. With a lady who is unobtainable.
Yes, who told him about Annihilus, but it's technically like this universal immoral constant. So, like, I question her logic, but heyo.
I usually always question the logic of like death entities that are like, I only care for death and I want everything dead, because I'm like, well, then you'll have no more after that.
Yeah, see, I will say, DC has the better death. Who is just this chill gawk girl who just like, yep, death's happening. Anyway, want a drink?
Yeah.
Like, read the whole Sandman stuff. It's actually phenomenal.
I hear it's awful.
I will actually get you through that. Do you know what? I know what we're reading next.
Oh, the Transformers mainline stuff.
No, we're reading the first volume of Sandman. Maybe
everybody wants us to talk about the main Transformers stuff.
I mean, I know I have had a couple of messages asking about when we're going to get back to it.
I said that jokingly, really?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Yeah,
one
or two. But I am now more interested in doing Sandman. So,
okay. Yeah, well, like I say, I actually haven't read it. I hear nothing but good things.
It is horrific in the best possible way.
Isn't it meant to be quite long, though?
Yes, so I will probably what we might do is not necessarily do the whole thing.
Okay, good.
I might pick out a volume and then pick out some of my favorite stories.
That's fair. Okay,
because most of it's standalone, I should say.
Okay, that's good. Because I was gonna say like I'm mildly concerned if it's like I need the backstory of these things. You
basically have to read the first volume or two, and then most of it's standalone. So
fair enough.
And they're not super long. Anyway, then we have Annihilation Super Skrull. Which is this weird, almost comedic drama. Like, I think it was maybe the art that made me look at it and go, like, I feel like this should be wackier.
I thought the art in this was the best of all of the three stories, for sure, but it is definitely a much more goofy style. Yeah. Is there a cartoon that we could equate this to?
No, I mean, I've read comics that are like this. Like, there's one called Monster Club.
Oh, okay.
This reminds me of, and a few others like that. Sort of like a mid-2000s semi-edgy style. Like, was you also saw something similar in some of do you know what? Kind of like a more like What If Zim was done in the style of Marvel. Okay. That's how I describe it. That a lot of sharp edges, but like weird flowing lines, and not a lot of like fate and geometry.
I would definitely go with no one sticks to a model. Like, there's a lot of like blowing up and stretching. It's very, very cartoony, I suppose. Like almost Looney Toony in a way. And like really plays with the powers of the Super Skrull visually. Like, which is a good idea, because sometimes they don't actually do that. I've seen him in a few things. I've never seen anyone like have him do that. Yeah, because he's like, if you think about his power set, he's got a lot he can do.
Oh, yeah. This does something with it. But anyway, the idea of this is that he knows about the Annihilation Wave. He's got a son on a planet. He wants to prevent it hitting the planet. He ends up sort of kidnapping an idealistic engineer because it turns out everyone on planet Skrull hates the Super Skrull.
Well, he has lost a lot.
Yeah, to Earth's greatest heroes.
Well, you know.
He lost to the Fantastic Four.
The Fantastic Four is still pretty good. They're not the best of the world.
Like they're B+.
I would say they have the most intelligent man on their team, which definitely helps on Earth. I think
technically
Richards is the smartest.
Technically, the smartest one is the girl with the dinosaur, Andy.
That's in the latest stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
She's technically the smartest person on Earth.
The daughter?
Annoying.
Is that right?
No, Moon Girl.
Okay. I don't.
She's very annoying.
She was added much later.
She's very aggressive, and actually, also you mentioned it. Yeah, the daughter is probably much smarter because she is like a super smart genius thing.
Yes, but then to be fair, their son is like a living god. So
yeah, who's really cool. I like him.
Yeah.
I should say I do like the Fantastic Four when they're well written. Like I have read good Fantastic Four comics, but I would never put them up there like I said, they're a B tier. They're a good B tier.
They're a high B tier. Yeah, I'd go with that. And I would definitely go with they have like the worst rogues gallery.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
It's really bad. There's like one or two really good standout villains, and then it's like Mole Man, and you go, oh,
yeah. Like, y'all remember Doctor Doom. Focus on Doctor Doom. But yeah, Super Skrull basically thinks they need to go to the negative zone, get people who from Annihilation's world, and sort of build an army that way. Kind of pulls it off. He gets betrayed in the end, but he kind of sort of forms a semi-relationship with a negative zone android. And
with boobs.
With boobs. And he sacrifices himself so she can destroy... the Harbinger of Sorrow, is it? Some sort of like living super weapon.
Yeah.
But he saves her by absorbing all her heat energy, and he's declared a hero on planet Skrull, which I'm sure has another name. And Ronan is mostly about the fact that at some point Ronan got falsely accused, and he's looking for a witness who has signed up with Gamora. Not your mother's Gamora. Or actually, I suppose very much your mother's Gamora.
Yes.
Might be more accurate, but not the Gamora you're thinking of anyway. But him and Gamora fight, then the Annihilus wave hits, and they're forced to sort of semi-team up, and then the witness that he's looking for, the one who falsely testified, dies before she can give him a name, and then that book kind of ends. It turns out Ronan has a buddy, which weirded me out.
Yeah.
Ronan has Korat, his buddy Korat.
Right.
No, because he's like, what's the line? Like, Korat, my friend, if you're alive, I'll save you. If I'm dead, I'll avenge you.
I don't think he appears much, if at all, after that.
Because I was waiting for, like, okay, this is structured for, like, Korat to, like, be the one who betrayed him.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't. It just plays that, like, no, Korat's just, like, a dude. A dude that Ronan happened to like back in the day.
Pretty much.
Like, how do you get liked by Ronan the Accuser?
You just gotta be cool, man. And follow the law. You can't break the law. That's a way to make him your enemy.
When there's a zebra crossing, you use a zebra crossing. Ronan's pretty cool with that.
Don't you fucking jaywalk.
Yeah. Also, he interferes in someone's legal process and has the guy executed by Space Raptor. They're three very different books.
Yes.
I think first two are definitely pretty strong. I think the Ronan one is... I think the problem is it's clearly feeding off some other material a lot more than those two are.
Mm.
And I think that makes it weaker, but we'll get to that. So Silver Surfer, Andy.
Yes.
What did you think of Le Surfer?
Well, I'm gonna have to be honest, because I found out today I don't actually have my book 2.
You bitch!
I know. I sat down and was looking at it and was like, "Oh, Mikey, where do you start? Do you start on Annihilation?" And he's like, "No, start on Silver Surfer." I was like, "Oh, where's my fucking book 2?" So I think Mr. Dave, I'm pretty sure Dave was borrowing Annihilation at one point, and then obviously did a Dave.
So
and I haven't had it back. And obviously, I forgot about him having it as well. So whenever this lockdown ends, I'm gonna have to be like, "So do you have my book?" And he probably does. It's a thing that happens quite a bit. So I'm gonna have to go off memory, and that's, as we know, not great. What did you think? I'll ask you a question, Mikey. What did you think of the introduction of the new guy from who's part of Annihilus's crew, the not bug dude? What's it called?
Ravenous.
Ravenous. Yeah. What did you think of Ravenous?
Threw me for a bit of a loop, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing. It does after book one really heavily emphasizes like the Annihilation wave. Annihilus's bug children, and then book two goes, but not really. There's still a lot of Negative Zone dudes in there as well.
Yeah. I didn't like. I would say he was one of the weaker elements of the story.
He's very generic, isn't he? He doesn't stand out. His
whole thing is that he's powered by the Negative Zone equivalent of the Power Cosmic, except he's not. His dog is. and
I don't think you see those dogs too far after the story either.
No, I would be surprised if he did. And then he basically kind of sees himself as Silver Surfer's equal, but everything's kind of framed like this guy is really overestimating his own abilities. He's very. I think they're like the fact that because Surfer, even after being repowered by Galactus, because one of the big things in this is Surfer kind of not so much deciding, but basically trying to justify his previous and looking to be future actions.
You know, being very, very Silver Surfer, effectively.
Yeah. But Ravenous, he lets Ravenous live, and it's framed like that's going to be a big thing. Like Ravenous is going to consider his life. Like it, just like okay. I was just looking at Heralds of Galactus. Apparently, Thor is currently a herald.
Which Thor?
Regular Thor.
Man Thor.
Regular man beard Thor.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you meant Jane.
Does not have a beard at the moment.
Okay, doesn't mean it couldn't be Jane then.
No. Oh, I think she's either dead or she's Valkyrie now. I think.
Last I heard, she was Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Whoever wields the beard will wield the power of Thor.
I think it would be very odd if after becoming Thor she grew a beard.
No, she didn't grow a beard. She just picks it up and places it on her face, and it like attaches like a helmet.
I don't even know if Mjolnir's still a thing.
It
got smashed a while back.
I bet over the years it's been smashed fucking hundreds of times.
Yeah. Probably. But so
I bet it's been broken more time than Kyle Rayner's girls have been fridged.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh! There was a Galactus cat?
A what? A Galactus cat?
Galactus cat, who is not a cat. A robot.
Oh. Is this a cat for Galactus? Or what exactly?
It doesn't look like a cat at all.
Okay. Did this come after the Captain Marvel movie?
1984, so no.
Okay. I was wondering if they were going off the weird cat with the tentacles in its mouth. It's just stupid.
But yes, on topic. Ravenous doesn't really add. Basically, he's there to give Surfer someone to punch and narrate against.
I'll spoil the next book for you. He still kind of feels like that.
Yeah. And I would have been okay if they made something more of him, or just made him a generic bad guy and then just offed him, or didn't frame it like the book wanted you to think, neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say Ravenous was not the strongest element of the story. I like his bigger contribution is, like you said, highlighting that, other people who aren't cannibalistic bugmen.
Yeah, but this is how I remember the Negative Zone from the one Fantastic Four episode from the 90s cartoon. It had Nihilus, and it had another dude who looked a bit like Sasquatch, but wasn't Sasquatch. But he was in like a blue getup, and they were always fighting over the cosmic rod. So I at least I knew from that one episode that there's more than just Nihilus and the bugs there. There's also a crap ton of other people as well being dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Also, like, because I'm just Googling a few names here, like, Galactus is currently dead.
Oh.
Which will last about 5 minutes.
That can't be good, because he has to be a constant. He's like the guy that cleans up the universe so it doesn't have too much life in, right?
Yeah, but like a couple of years ago, they made him, like, they swapped him so, like, he gives life back to the universe, so... It's comics. He'll be back at full strength in, like, 5 minutes.
I always liked the fact that he was a survivor from the previous universe that died. I thought that was quite a neat idea.
I know, like, there's a lot of good stuff about Galactus, but, like, God bless him.
I will say as well, with this Silver Surfer thing, it does bombard you with a fuck ton of heralds, and you go, how many asshole heralds are still alive? Holy
like,
shit.
What does Galactus, like, it's like, and then Galactus, like, just sacks a guy.
Yep. Doesn't take the powers, though. Doesn't reclaim the power cosmic.
No.
He's just like, go on, fuck off.
I know, like, from Galactus' perspective, it's like picking up an ant.
Yeah.
But, like, he just, like, sacks someone and says, like, go get the last guy.
Yeah.
Like, I like him.
Were there any that stood out to you? Because there's like Stardust, there's Firelord, which are very generic names. Terrax is the one I most know.
Yeah, Terrax was the one I'm familiar with because he shows up, like, he's kind of like frequently played as the anti-surfer.
Yeah, he's the one that comes directly after him.
Like,
from
the
what
only
I remember.
one who's given any time is Gabriel.
That's right.
And because like they're after him. Because they've got, like, anti-power cosmic, they have a chance, and like, there's enough of them and they have a chance to fight, but it turns out, since he's a machine, they can't actually do anything with him. And that's, his role is really to kick off Surfer's, like, oh god, where do I stand in the whole morals of what's going on?
Yeah.
Because he acknowledges that Galactus has killed billions, but from his perspective, or, like, is the perspective that Galactus killed billions, but it's all part of a greater whole, and it's non-malicious and everything else.
Are you standing in a kitchen going, it's all part of the plan?
It's all part of the plan.
As your little jacket's full of explosives, as it always is.
And pencils.
And pencil, yeah. Well, you're a paleontologist, so that makes sense.
It's gone. But so I wouldn't say any of the heralds stood out to me. Like, they're basically in here to be like fire whatever his name, Firelord.
Yeah, Firelord.
Yeah. He might stand out a little bit because his thing is because he has lines, and his lines are we're invincible if we work together.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not, which is kind of the point. But and then they go off to fight upon Annihilation ships. Like, I wouldn't exactly say they're particularly well developed.
No, I guess they're there to kind of... To me, it almost felt like they were rounding up the heralds to maybe take them off the board.
Yeah,
in terms of a story idea, like, they existed, and it's like, okay, there's too many fucking heralds. How about we grab them all, put them in this life and death situation, and then we can start offing them if we choose to.
Yeah.
And then it cleans it up. Then there can just be Galactus and the Silver Surfer, and there we go. Problem solved. Whether that was the case or not, I can't remember. I don't think so, but it wouldn't shock me if that might have been the initial idea.
It's kind of interesting. Like, I found Galactus kind of interesting in this.
I always find Galactus interesting. Well, when written well, but yeah, you can do a lot of really interesting stuff with it being like Galactus, because he's not a god, but he is. He's super old, and his perspective on the universe and life is very interesting. And like you say, how do you interact with things that you consider ants?
Yeah, and like you say, he's not a god. Functionally, as far as Marvel's concerned, he's beyond the gods.
Yeah, he's in. It's always difficult with Marvel, because it's like there's gods which aren't that impressive, because you think of Thor and it's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah,
then you
get
have
beaten up a lot.
cosmic entities, which I think Galactus is classed as, and then you have like Eternity, who is the aspect of the universe or something.
You have like the Eternity and the one who lies below, like basically
the lady one, right?
The one who lies below is the one that was introduced in Immortal Hulk.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah. Okay,
basically,
that's
God,
the one I don't know as well.
The ultimate god and the ultimate devil.
Yeah.
All the other things are just sort of sub levels to them.
Which is weird, because of course, like, there's Mephisto, who's always but he's obviously like, it's always portrayed as the devil. It's like, well, not really, I suppose.
Yeah, like you have the devil, Andy, but this is the Super Devil.
Yeah, I was totally thinking the word Super Devil. It's like, oh no, it's Super Devil.
Not the Super Devil.
It's like when you try and think of the ideas behind the Marvel hierarchy of power, it does get a little bit confusing. But maybe that's okay because that's life as well. Life's a bit confusing. But I don't know whether you can brush that off as going, it's confusing, so that's life, or you just go, that's messy writing.
Well, I think we can all say it's a bit about...
Yeah, especially when it comes to comics, and there's like 50,000 writers that we've had over the decades of Marvel being around, and people rewriting stuff and reboots and all that bobbins, so yeah.
But I like Galactus in this because he's very alien. He calls the Surfer back and he says, like, this is bad. I need a herald I can rely on, and I need someone with power. You have power, and you can have more power, and you are the one I trust the most out of the ones I've had. But it's not like he's not making a moral choice. He's not making a choice because he's afraid or anything. He's like, there are threats that have emerged that I need to deal with because the universe plays the way it does.
Yeah.
And if we don't, then the universe stops, and that is not what, we cannot allow that to happen.
Because I need to eat. Galactus hungers.
Yeah. Galactus eats as part of the universal cycle, ergo, we're doing this. And he repowers the Surfer, and like the first thing he says is basically like, you left the guy live, am I supposed to be angry about this? And it feels to me like almost like he's saying, am I supposed to be angry about this? Because like he wanted to strip Surfer of the morality and stuff he's developed, and because he said like, well, it would be more, more expedient, and he didn't, and he's just like, well, I've left you like this. What does this? How do I deal with you? And but yeah, the big thing, of course, like I said, is Surfer moralizing. Really,
that's Silver Surfer, isn't it?
Yeah, yep, pretty much. He's sitting there, basically trying to. He's thinking about the stuff he's done in the past and the lives he's allowed to be taken, and he's, while broadly speaking, trying to justify why he would intervene in billions of lives lost during the Annihilation wave, and why he wouldn't when he was, a Herald of Galactus. And he flashes back to some encounters he's had over the years, and he basically, part of it, I think, is him justifying it to himself, like, I am not a monster. And part of it is him saying, like, well, but there was a reason to that. There was a point. No one was being killed out of malice. No one was being killed for no reason. Like, people were dying because there's an element of this universe where someone has to die. And he thought, like, it's very clear he's not happy about it either. Even when he does come to his conclusion, such as it is. He's not, like, going like, oh, cool, it was all okay. Like, he very much, like, he emphasizes, like, he wants to keep his mind even if he returns to being a herald. And he's like, he accepts his role in it, but he doesn't want to forget the lessons he's learned, and he wants to be the herald who knows that if he does take people's lives, then it is not something to forget the weight of. And that's interesting. Like, I get the feeling, having what little I know of the Surfer over the years, is that I bet the Silver Surfer gets real annoying and tedious when that's repeated 1,000 times.
He can get a bit on the mopey side, shall we say. There's a lot of, at least in the 90s cartoon series, there's a lot of him talking to himself. Yeah.
But in the context of this, and since I think the writer did a fairly good job in this, I think it works.
Yeah, I guess it's again establishing just who the Surfer is. Which could be annoying for people who know the Surfer, but it is useful for, people who have no idea about him, or just you need a refresher on him.
But yeah, no, it worked. It worked to me. The other real thing of note here is Thanos, really, I'd say.
Yeah, Thanos being Thanos, which is always neat.
Thanos
like the
not
fact
given
that the old guys are like, oh wow, this one's clever, and Thanos is like, yeah, bitch, I am smart.
Annihilus. I liked how like it wasn't ravenous. It was someone like same species, and we're just like I'd like to go meet Annihilus. Okay. Well, like we're offering you a level of respect. We're not asking you to kneel before my lord Annihilus. And his response is, no, you're not. Like, just like, I would have liked to have seen what would happen if you had.
Nothing desperately good.
Just like, kneel before Lord Annihilus. You're new here, aren't you?
I'm gonna have to give you a big fat no, bro.
That's gonna be new.
Yeah.
But he's portrayed in complete control of himself. He's confident, he's powerful, he has zero fear of anyone. Manipulative. And Annihilus comes off as like the mentally weaker of the two. Which
is interesting, because in the previous book he was shown to be so strong. But in the face of Thanos, you're just like, wow. Thanos, I always appreciate it when they make Thanos feel like he's on another level compared to everybody else around him.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I honestly have no idea who'd win in a fight. I mean, you know, because it's a comic book and anyone could at any time.
Yeah, it depends who's writing, I suppose.
Batman could win, probably, if you told the story, because I'm sure he's beaten Darkseid at least once.
Probably, yeah.
But it's like Annihilus comes across as like he's not in control. He's an egomaniac. He believes his own bullshit. Like, Thanos doesn't have to believe his own bullshit. It's just true.
Yeah.
And, like, he doesn't... At no point does he raise his voice or lose his temper. And Annihilus talks to him like he's a servant and everything else. And he's just like, I do not work for you. I'm working with you. And I will respond as appropriate.
Would you say that the conversation between the two of them feels like a Saturday morning villain versus, like, a more modern villain with, like, intelligence? Yeah, like Annihilus is like, no one encroaches on my domain. That's adorable. Or like, how about like... this as a comparison? Skeletor from the original 80s show versus Skeletor from the more modern 2000s show.
Yeah, I'll give you a bit of that, but he's quite like hammy as well. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
But something I really liked was when they were talking about the Paracosmic. I was like, surely you care about the Paracosmic. Nope, not really. There's much more impressive stuff out there.
We got to remember that he's had the Infinity Gems at this point and been a literal god. So, like, the Power Cosmic Tim's just like,
sure.
That's
like,
cute.
If I use it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, he's clearly interested in it for whatever purpose, but for whatever he's doing, with Annihilus. But, the interest is not really intrinsic to himself. Like, he's not like, oh my god, the Power Cosmic, because Annihilus wants it.
Yeah.
And Thanos will take it, I suppose, if it's there.
If it's on the table, you know.
I mean,
sure.
I'm sure there's a value to it.
Yeah. He could use it for something if he wanted to. He could kill a few people. That'd be all right.
Yeah. Like, I really like how I think it was very wise. Like, Annihilus is like this cannibalistic super monster from another dimension. And he's acting like it. Like, he you know, his temper's out on razor's edge. No one gets to talk to him anyway. Like, Thanos has this little fairy on his shoulder who will not really listen to anything he's saying. And he's largely indifferent. Like, I am that much in control of myself and everyone around me.
Yeah, actually, you bring up the fairy, and that's something that the comic doesn't do very well, and explain what the fuck the fairy is about.
Yeah, I was very curious.
Yeah. Because,
like, she's a shoulder... She's literally a shoulder fairy.
Yeah.
And she says a lot of things. She kind of annoys him, and he occasionally tells her to shut up. And that's... she seems to be something important, because the two, like, gods that are freed recognize her and call her, like, you're something old school. So, but... It's not exactly in the book like, oh, she's a deep and meaningful character.
Yeah, I can't remember them actually saying anything anything significant about her. I almost wonder if they put her in there to be the small human child version of Drax's human child. You know, because they both have a really obnoxious sidekick, effectively. What did you think of Annihilus's, like, sexy slave alien girls, which kind of came out of nowhere?
Yeah, what was that about?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like,
it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make an ounce of sense. Like,
No.
that feels like it was scripted before someone, without realizing what a nihilist was going to look like and what he was going to do.
But everybody knows what Nihilist looks like. It's not like a thing that's like his designs pretty much stay pretty similar. He's always been this weird bug dude. I thought it might be a thing of like an artist choice. Of the artist was like, oh, I'm gonna do a throne room scene, kind of like the Emperor from Star Wars, The Return of the Jedi. But we're gonna, because he's an emperor, like he's a big like warlord ruler. He'll have some sexy slave girls too.
Yeah.
But then you forget, like, but he's an alien bug who procreates with many, well, like with 3 or 4 bug queens.
Probably a lot more than that.
Probably, yeah.
And
I don't think like sexy humanoid women would really do it for him.
Maybe here's the thing. Maybe they were snacks.
If they played it like that, that could be quite interesting. It doesn't. Doesn't really play it off that way in the artwork, but
no. But Annihilus is just somebody who likes to eat a lot. Like, he's one of those guys. He's always sitting in a chair and just like snacking as he's going. Kind
of like Jabba when he picks up the weird frog thing and goes wee, and he eats it. Yeah, I could see that. That would make sense.
Yeah, that would be cool. But
oh my god! Holy shit! Sorry, Mikey.
Yeah. No.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but you know how I just made the Return of the Jedi reference. I don't know what page it is exactly, but it's the page that has Annihilus telling them all to leave the room, and they all leave the room, and it's just him and Thanos, and he goes, "I am impressed." You see that panel? I am impressed.
Yeah.
What does that room look like they're standing in?
Oh god, I don't know what.
It's literally the throne room from Return of the Jedi. They have those weird, like, round things with the lights on them.
Oh, God, you're right.
It's literally that. It's not even, like, hiding it. It's almost like someone got an overlay from the movie and just, like, rotoscoped it or drew over the top of it with paint or something.
Yeah.
I just noticed that when, holy shit, it is Return of the Jedi. Jesus Christ.
God. But yeah, like, I really like Thanos in it. I like... Yeah. I'm hoping he kind of stays in that kind of field. I don't know if the writer is the same for like the rest of the Annihilation books he's in, but I'd be surprised if it was. But yeah, I definitely like the core concept being portrayed here. This even if you didn't know who Thanos was, you've been introduced to Annihilus, and like this guy has zero fear, and it's not coming across like he's ignorant.
Yes, yeah, he's not like arrogantly
he's not he's not afraid of Annihilus because there is no reason for him to be afraid of Annihilus. Like everything Annihilus can do, he can probably hold off, or at least like the idea of dying to Annihilus doesn't like bother him.
Yeah,
like he's someone who feels in control to me, which I like a lot. Like, that's good villainy. Like, I always prefer the villains who, like, say a lot without saying anything, you know?
Yeah, they're always more interesting. There's something to them that's good.
And my mic keeps adjusting itself. Yeah, like, anything else on the Surfer book?
I don't think so. I think we've actually covered it more than I thought we would do, to be honest. But that's good. That's good. What about Silver Skrull? Super Skrull.
Silver Skrull, that's a different Skrull. That's fun. That's more fun than anything else. Like I said, it's quite serious in many ways, but it's to me, it's like, it feels almost comedic how straight-laced it is. I am not super familiar with the Super Skrull as a character. Like I said, I find it funny he keeps on going on about the Fantastic Four like they're like the Avengers. Sure. So like the world's greatest heroes that I happen to be a regular enemy of. And like there's very few actual like significant characters in it. And what I mean, like the focus is on the Super Skrull, this one Skrull engineer, and later Robot Lady.
Yes, and that's pretty much about it.
Yeah.
He has a brief interaction with like the Empress, I think, but it's not a huge one.
Yeah. And there's that one Annihilus scientist.
That's right.
Who he tortures. And like there are definitely some interesting, like the art is definitely strongest here. Like it's the most fun, it's very fluid. The artist had a good sense of framing and stuff like that. Like it's in many ways it is also very much of its time, but it works to me, right?
Yeah, I would agree. Like, you need to kind of be into the thing that they're not going to keep to the models, though. And if that annoys you, that's going to piss you off for the entire series.
Yeah, definitely. If you have a problem of it, yeah, no. Yeah, if you're someone who's really in favor of on-model art all the time, and like I usually am, but I'm also like, if the style is made to deal with the lack of on-model art, I think that's fine. It's when you feel like art's not on-model.
Like, usually when we complain about when they go off-model, it's because it's unintentional. This is clearly intentional, and they're deliberately choosing to do it rather than oh no, no, mistakes were made.
Definitely, but like most of the character focus here is on Super Skrull.
Yes, yeah. What do you think of him then as a character?
He's interesting. Like, I think it's like since a lot of the book is told from his perspective, he comes across as a soldier, very tight military type. Very ruthless. And then you have the other cutaways to the other people around him, and you see him more in sort of the idealistic way or in the villainous way. I think that was a very good tool. It's the imagery, like, you get to know Super Skrull, but then you're constantly being reminded that this is not a case of like a good soldier gone to war kind of thing. This is someone who has learned to do the wrong thing. And is comfortable with doing the wrong thing. But I think it added a lot of dimension to him. Like, he the idea that he's learned to understand Reed Richards, he's learned to understand why the Fantastic Four work as a unit. Like, all of this is really coming down to the fact that he is afraid for his son, who seems just awful in what little we see about him. But like, the idea that he's got a political marriage that failed, but he's still like, this is my child, this is my family, and this matters to me. And their generation matters to me. I like that at no point does he ever, apart from the robot lady at the very end, does he ever feel like he's forming a relationship with anyone.
Yeah, like you say, very, very much like a soldier on a mission.
Yeah, like he doesn't form a relationship with the Skrull that he brings with him. He forms, he basically, he comes to see him as a soldier rather than as an extra.
Yeah.
And for him, that's more important in some ways. Like, being a soldier, fighting and dying for your cause and your people, that matters to him. And yeah, I think that worked really. I think it gave the book a lot of focus, and it gave it a clear vision. It did limit the amount of character development overall for the roster, because it's like the robot lady doesn't really get any.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what did you think about the relationship between those two?
Not the best, I will be honest,
no.
Especially since they have a moment where he beats her into the ground and says, "Don't waste my time." And she goes, "He's beaten me into the ground. I should hate him, but I love him even more." Dear.
The weird thing, it felt like the romance felt like a bad 90s action movie kind of romance, where they do the most basic groundwork they possibly could and just go, they love each other, don't they? Or she's got the hots for him because he's so cool. And you're like, I guess.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't think they developed that relationship to the point where he would have gone back for her.
No.
And because he does. He like, if he said, like, I'm going back, this fight is not over and I need soldiers. But he goes back for her. And he sacrifices his life for her.
Yeah.
So it's a good moment in intent, but with the character you've set up, it doesn't quite work. But I don't think it takes away from his character development or the story. It just, like, it made those bits that were from her perspective a little awkward for me, because I'm just like, okay, these don't add anything to anyone. Like, the one from the perspective of the Skrull engineer, I think they do add something.
Right.
Because it's the perspective of the idealist, who is, never meet your heroes. My hero is a bad person, or someone I would find to be poor, but I am not a saint, and I will myself do bad things and justify them, because he turns quite cruel by the end.
He does, but then you could. I don't know. Do you think he got his just desserts or his reward?
I mean,
It seemed harsh.
Again, like, Super Skrull does sort of go like, you kill millions and you're judging me for torturing people.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, but your son, I drank him. I drank your son.
Mm-hmm.
So fuck you. Being tied to a building with your arms and legs burned off and cauterized and just like, well, you're gonna die.
No, I think he was the ship that he was trying to escape on.
Yeah.
I think he was just strung up in there, right? Or something like that. Yeah.
But I don't think Super Skrull was planning to leave.
Probably not.
So I think that was kind of like, well, this ship is gonna blow and you're gonna blow with it. Enjoy.
Yeah. I'm not gonna kill you, but the explosion will, kind of deal.
I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you either.
No, Batman, please save me.
Technically, you just murdered the man, Christian Bale. No, I didn't save him. It's different. No,
not in a court of law.
You are at very least manslaughter.
Exactly.
But so I found him fun, but again, I would say that he's not the best because we do like I can believe that he wanted to betray the Super Skrull.
Yes.
They did not set up he would go to such lengths.
No, there wasn't
murdering
much
an entire planet.
It seems like he went bad very.
Well, he went
very
bad off
hard.
screen.
Yeah.
You know, that's like when did he have a chance to contact the Annihilation Wave and say, by the way,
come here.
I'm in another dimension. Would you mind if we if I helped you out and you paid me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that again is like almost another 90s action movie trope where the best friend was actually evil all along?
Definitely. I think there's definitely an element to that. Except he wasn't his best friend.
No.
Like, you couldn't even say he was the closest he had to one, because he very much made it clear he had no interest in having one. But it's that said, though, I really did like that book. I liked the stuff. Like, I think the Super Skrull was a compelling character, and I thought the art was very fun and energetic. It's a weird thing, because I think it's between it and Surfer, I think it's more flawed.
Yeah, definitely. It's not as good of a book, but I think the benefit of it is quite an easy read, right? It's not that complex. It's got a fairly fun art style, and it moves at an okay pace. It just doesn't blow your mind with anything. And by the end, you're kind of like, that was fun. That was fun enough.
Yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts on it? I
mean, I would agree with that. It's very much okay, yeah. This was okay. It's enjoyable, but I suppose it's not a terrible way to introduce Super Skrull as a character either. The spoilers: he's not dead.
What are you implying here, Andy?
I'm implying that comics are comics, yo. And deaths in comics mean less than water in the ocean. Water for the ocean probably makes most sense. But yeah. I would probably rate it as the most fun out of the three in this, well, what would be the trade of book 2. Would you agree with that? Yeah,
no, like, it's the most space opera-y, the most goofy, and the most fun. I would say it's fair.
Best art style as well.
Yeah, no, I like the art a lot. I think that's quite solid and fun.
We didn't actually mention the Silver Surfer's artwork, I don't think, did we?
Tad generic?
Yeah, it's okay, but it's not the prettiest to look at either. It's like, there are definitely mistakes here and there as well. Luckily it's a lot better than the Ronan one, which I thought looked really bad.
Yeah, Ronan's was
ugly as fucking sin.
Not great.
No.
No.
And the colours didn't help either.
No, God, no.
I think if they'd gone maybe for... we'll be moving on to Ronan, but I think if they've gone for a lot more dark, like really dark colours with like heavy shading, it might have helped it. But they went for a really bright colour scheme for the most part. Actually, no, they didn't. It's not bright. It is quite colourful, but there's very few colours. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. It's flat, but there's Ronan's like olive cape, and then lots of brown.
Lots of brown.
It's the fucking Gears of War of comics. There's fucking mountains of brown everywhere.
But Andy Brown.
Yeah, well, I suppose it came out around that time period where it's like everything must be LeBrown, and you're like, oh, but that's not good for like visual media.
Hmm.
I don't know. But what about Ronan, Mikey? What's it about?
It's all right. So Ronan, like I said, Ronan goes there. He's looking for a witness who falsely accused him of something. He interferes in a trial. He kind of starts a war. He also kind of ends it. And he meets Gamora, and Gamora's having none of it for vague reasons.
Most dangerous women in the universe don't fuck with her.
Apparently, or do, depending on her mood.
That's true.
Yeah, and she is very much like, I'd say like an 80s death metal, like, kind of, she's an album cover.
I mean, for fuck's sake, the first scene that you see is she's sitting on a throne of skulls.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
in a bikini top and a cape.
That's just her outfit.
Yeah.
That's just what she wear.
That's just, some of us wear different things, some of us wear, other
like
things.
If the Baps fly out, the Baps fly out.
Yeah. Like, be free, my child.
Be free, children. You got Nebula in there as well.
You do. You got Nebula, who comes across as generic backup.
Yes.
Which is like, Gamora's got a team I think are called the Graces, but I wouldn't exactly say any of them have personalities.
No, they're there.
Mm.
They're there.
So she's basically there to interfere. And her and Thanos have a big fight, and she's got a magic sword that, and now I've realized Furman wrote this, why she was talking that way, so it makes so much sense to me. Because she uses so many verbs.
Yep. Yeah, if you didn't know, if we didn't mention, this was a Simon Furman book, so it's rife with Simon Furman stylings of the time.
Yep. Much long talking.
Oh boy, yeah, but not really saying a huge amount either.
Like lot of words, little
substance.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it.
I will. I don't care.
Like there's some action, and the action's all right, but it's just like overall fairly unremarkable, and like it sets up Ronan's backstory, but it doesn't do anything with it, and like it feels like a weird interlude, because it's like every other book so far, every other like miniseries we've read has been about the idea of, okay, here's an examination of these characters. Here's a review of them, looking into what makes them tick. Here's not just their role in the Annihilation story, but their role as individuals. And like I said, like I think Ronan really reads like an interjection of someone else's story.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I read it and I'm just like, okay, there is another book going on somewhere where Ronan's story is being laid out, and I'm missing a lot of stuff. And this is something you were told to write, but you were more comfortable just continuing that story. Like, I don't think the other stories felt like that. They felt more self-contained.
Trying to remember how this the story kind of went off. Just having a very quick look through it. Did it feel to you like it was almost like watching From Dusk Till Dawn? You know, it's one story going along, and then suddenly, boom, space bugs come out of nowhere.
Yeah, basically.
Because that's how it looks. Like, having a quick look through it again, not remembering it that well because it's very unremarkable. It's Ronan's story about the accused guy, and then space bugs come out of nowhere. Oh shit. Okay, now I guess we're doing Annihilation, and my story's gonna be put on the back burner because bugs. Yeah,
and it's very much like, okay, now we have a very brief interjection of space bugs, and now we're going to briefly talk about the fact that my story, and now I'm going off to another book.
Yeah, exactly. A better book.
It's definitely the weakest of the three, and like you said, the art is really a kick in the teeth a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's unremarkable in the extreme.
Especially if you jump to the actual Annihilation 1, which is the next issue, and you have a look at the artwork in there, and you go, oh, wow, everything looks way better. Aggressively better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot more thoughts on Ronan, to be honest. It's a simple experience.
And very unremarkable.
Yeah.
I could remember the other two a little bit, even though it's been a long time. I remembered nothing about the Ronan story apart from visually not liking it. And I did remember not enjoying it in general from back in the day. Oh, the only thing I did remember is his friend. I thought he looked ridiculous. He looked like a penis.
It was a weird suit.
The suit design's not good, and the fact that it, like if you saw this guy from behind, you'd thought he was dressed up as a penis, right?
I mean, yes.
It unfortunately has the profile, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's odd. It's an odd design. And I will say, so far that means there's basically been one book out of this whole run I would think is legitimately notably weak.
Yes, I would agree.
Which I think is pretty good.
Especially for a Marvel crossover. When you consider them.
Yeah, there's plenty of people writing this, so...
Yeah, it's true.
I think this is because of that I think this is a weaker volume, but I think it's overall a pretty good read.
Yes, it does feel
less complimentary, maybe.
Yes, it feels more like a stop point where they've put the story more on hold, because Nova felt like it was a really good prelude to Annihilation, as that came in and had big implications, and then going into Nova and setting up all that stuff. But this just feels like it's a lot more side stuff than the book one, at least. Yeah, I think that's fair. There was a very clear throughout the last book. It felt like there was a through line. It felt like there was something going on. Okay, this is rolling somewhere. Did not feel that way here. Yeah, I'd agree. Felt disconnected. Felt more like traditional side books. I think that's fair to say. At least with Silver Surfer, that one feels more connected. But overall, as a package, I think you're probably right. These three going together, yeah. There we go. I guess that's book 2 done. Yeah, that's book 2 done. Guessing book 3 next if we're gonna just continue on, you know. That's right. The weird thing about book 3, because I'm having a look at it, is you have the Annihilation comics, and then you Annihilation finishes, but then you still have more stuff after that. You have is it Prelude or something? I'm having a quick look. You have that's right. You have after Annihilation, it's Annihilation Heralds of Galactus parts 1 and 2. So it is kind of clean up with the heralds again. But yeah, so I'm curious. I'm definitely curious to see where this goes. Yes. Yeah. What was I going to say? But yeah, so I think it's fair to wrap up Annihilation there. Guys, if you're sticking around, we are doing the Transformers vs. Terminator book. And if you're not sticking around, go away. Damn. I mean, fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Damn, just couldn't write to the core. You can stay, but you ain't hearing anything. That's true. But yeah, so guys, thank you for listening, and if you want to give us any feedback, the email address is moonbase2@gmail.com. You can also send us something over on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else, and of course, if you want to get access to the extended version of this show and hear the extra content, it's the Moonbase 2 Patreon for just $2 a month. Andy. Chill. You can find me on Twitter, CCTFW, YouTube, Cobra Commander TFW. You can find this on the Moonbase 2 forums, Twitter, iTunes, Facebook, Libsyn, YouTube as Moonbase 2 Transformers Podcast. Mikey did the Patreon thing. You can also see me on Twitch if you like, CCTFW, and you can also find the Poopcast over on the ccbunker.weebly.com. So thank you kindly, and we'll talk to you then. I'm tired. You don't get to sleep.